So the fourth industrial revolution comes with a lot of benefits and a lot of disadvantages. I think for a country like South Africa, there are large parts of our country which haven't really gone through the first, second, or third industrial revolution just yet. So we're trying to catch up to very new technologies while not having a lot of background to inform us as to how to do that. I think education is key. I think it is pretty much the only way for us to actually solve these problems. Giving students the tools to help themselves in the industry as it is going to present itself in the next 5, 10, 15 years. Something that has become very relevant for us as well in education is this idea of students being self-directed learners. And I think that is maybe one of the parts of education that we don't do to the best of our abilities at the moment, is that we're still stuck in teaching students from textbooks and using exams and using very traditional methods of education. One of the things that South Africa, I think, has taken a bit of a lead in is actually in creating a curriculum for coding and robotics for learners from grade R to grade 9. And there is this recognition that for us to prepare learners and students for the fourth industrial revolution, we need to capture them very early. So it's no longer a situation where you could go through a general education system for 12 years and then only at university really specialize. There's now this understanding that for you to be technologically capable in the world as it's going to be in the near future, you need to be comfortable with technology from the point where you are just learning the most basic skills. The fifth industrial revolution was a concept that started being thrown around in around 2019 in the larger blogosphere. So not necessarily in academic papers, but in discussion forums. And it was really a recognition of the fact that in much the way the fourth industrial revolution is being coached in terms of technology, much like the first, second, and the third industrial revolutions, what we really need now is a focus on people and how technology is actually affecting people and the economy they find themselves in, the jobs that they need to take on, the way in which they need to change their perceptions and activities in a way that allows them to be as happy and well as they can possibly be. Since then, a lot of these concepts started coming into the narrative of the fourth industrial revolution, where people are starting to realize things like inclusion really should be a discussion point as much as the technology is a discussion point. I think one of the things that does worry me is how deeply entrenched technology is becoming in all of the business processes and systems that we use as people. I think one of the best examples that I heard of recently is that of a bank manager, where in maybe 20 or 30 years ago, when you went to a bank to get a small business loan, you would speak to the bank manager and they would leverage their knowledge of the local economy, the kinds of businesses you would interact with, what the market is actually segmented in at the moment to try and understand whether your business would contribute meaningfully to the local economy. Whereas now, the decisions for loans are taken entirely by algorithms, which have inside of them, already some biases that are unavoidable in these sorts of systems. So I think that a lot of the benefits we have in terms of automation and algorithms doing things come with a lot of costs that we aren't necessarily taking into account. Many people are scared of us reaching a point where, the machines take over and they run the world for us. And it's a very sort of science fiction concept. But when you really think about it, these days, most decisions that are made are done in collaboration with some sort of technological system. And this, points to the fact that machines are already running a large part of the world. We're just not necessarily recognizing it. Not only is it already here, but I think the problem with large systems is that we no longer have what we had maybe in the 80s and 90s, where you would have one or two people that fully understand the technological landscape in an organization. Now, the technological landscape has become so big that oftentimes you have large organizations where no one person fully understands how the organization functions. So for this research program, I would definitely say that the biggest opportunity really is in its multidisciplinary approach, where I think it's no longer the case where you can look at large systems through a single lens and really understand what's going on inside of them. So I think that the opportunities for collaboration between psychologists, anthropologists, system designers, computer scientists, I think the opportunities are incredible these days for doing research in that nature. I think for me, if I could really change one thing, it would probably be the level of inequality. I think that is the cause of so many of the problems that we experience in the world. As we are increasing our skills in technology, we are making things available to poorer people that were simply never available to them previously. I think a great example of that is smartphones, where maybe 20 years ago, a smartphone was something that only the super rich would be able to afford. Now it is ubiquitous, even in informal settlements. So I definitely feel hopeful that we'll be able to lift the standard of living for people through the use of technology.